Ready?
Ready.
Hi guys, welcome back to Daisy Diaries. I'm here with your co-host.
Favorite person in the world.
Gabriel Zamora, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I honestly just look forward to filming whenever we're together.
Period.
I was like, Abby,
so
we spent all day yesterday together, and I was like, do you want to spend today together? And we're like, yeah, fuck it.
I was like, yeah, why not?
Wait, I want to get straight into it.
Okay.
I saw everybody post about the Love Island reunion, and I know that you watched it last night. So I need you to catch me up because I don't know what's the tea. So what the fuck is the tea with?
It's crazy. I feel like we're like on FaceTime right now. And it's just like I'm getting ready. The dolls are like hanging out. Yeah. I'm going to be doing my makeup because I didn't have time. I woke up late. Daisy, you run on like Texas time.
Of course. I woke up at 8.
I know. That's why I'm like, ugh. But in Texas, that's like 10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you wake up at 10. Yeah, so that makes sense.
Like 10:30ish. Like when you called me, I had been up for like 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay, nice.
So the Love Island reunion was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Because have you even watched the season?
No, I literally have just watched clips and like what you told me last time. So.
And you know, like there's 4 couples that won, I mean, the top 4, right? No. There's Leah.
Okay, Leah, Miguel, and...
Leah, Miguel, she was with Miguel. And then there's PPG, which are the top 3 girls. Yeah. Serena, who won with Cordell. Janae with Kenny, who's like part of the top 3. And then there was Kendall and Nicole.
Okay.
Kendall was the one that was violated because certain things about him were exposed on the internet.
I did see that. I saw that.
Just... something that nobody would ever want. I don't even want to like fully detail it out. It's our biggest fear, you know, like having our personal bodies be exposed to the world without our consent. Yeah. So his stuff got leaked on the internet. And it's been almost like a month since the show
already
wrapped. Yeah.
Actually, you're so right.
It's been like 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So the show ended and they went kind of back into reality and they've been like living life. And this is the first time they're doing a reunion because usually they don't do a reunion.
I was going to say, I feel like Love Island got so much more hype this time around.
So much more hype.
Because this morning while I was getting ready for today, I actually saw that GQ did like an interview with the 3 girls. What are they called?
PPG. So like the Powerpuff Girls.
PPG. I saw that they did like Who Knows Who Best, and I was like, that is so smart. Like whoever's doing the marketing for Love Island this year is killing it because
amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Like I think it's a perfect storm of the show and it being a show that provides 5 episodes a week. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like what other show's doing that?
No other show.
These are also all social media people, and with like the extreme rise of TikTok and people putting their opinion out there, like everybody's talking about it. Before it used to be Twitter, you know, like you would use a hashtag on Twitter and people would talk on Twitter about it, which they still incorporate in the show. But now it's like you could do video. Yeah. And like you can really talk about it. And I feel like people are obsessed with that a little bit more. Oh, look at all these hairs. Do you want to know what foundation I'm using? Why aren't you asking me?
Because I'm more interested in the conversation. What foundation are you using?
This is actually the
Too it's the new one?
Born This Way Soft Matte.
Do you like it?
Is it not my skin tone?
It is. It's actually
like, isn't it so pretty?
Just put a little bit more right here.
Yeah, I haven't finished.
No, but I feel like TikTok has just made everything that is on the internet more of a conversation because it can reach absolutely anyone around the world. You get me? Like anyone can go viral on TikTok, and it just on Twitter it's like it doesn't have the same reach as it does on TikTok because somebody from China can end up seeing your video and they don't even follow you, versus Twitter, it's just like you only get recommended like certain people that are within your followers or the people that you follow. But okay, and so what happened?
Like also, since like Elon Musk, I personally think ruined Twitter because he was like, oh, it's like the town center for people to be able to have conversations. But it's like, you're biased because I'm on Twitter and I hate Donald Trump. Hate him. But why are there ads pro Donald Trump on my feed, but there's no pro Kamala ads on my feed? So that's why I'm like, y'all ruined the thing. TikTok is now the public town center where we as society can have a conversation.
TikTok is for sure that place.
Absolutely, because now it's video. Like, it's no longer just a few little words. Like, if you have an opinion, get on camera and talk about it.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like a perfect storm of a show this season. The producers on it, everybody going on that show. If you're going on reality TV, you want to be a star.
Yeah.
You know, and I get it. Trust me. I have the same mentality.
Yeah.
So, baby, I'm a star. So I get it. I understand why, like, they're all alpha personalities, right? So at the reunion, this is the last time you can bring stuff up. This is the last time you can talk about stuff, right? And they were really talking their shit. Everybody was on it. Like, you remember, I'm sure you've seen the white girl going off. Like, she's always crying. And she's like, fuck, Aaron.
I've only seen her crying, but I
Yeah,
don't really
she's
know
always
her
crying.
story. Okay.
She stood up for herself at the reunion, stood up against this man. And it was crazy because, like, he didn't tell her. But finally on the reunion, he's like, yeah, I did put my hands down her pants. And she's like, excuse me? She's like, wait, hold up. I've been with you in New York for the past 3 days, and not once did you bring this up to me? And you want to bring it up in front of the cameras? She goes off on him. I live. She was not crying over this man anymore, which I was like, period. Like, why
she stood on business.
Like, we should not be crying over men. You know, we should not be crying over men. We know we cry and we're sensitive creatures, and sometimes men will make us cry, but we no longer cry over men publicly.
Yeah, yeah. I learned.
We go to our girlfriends, we go to our guy friends, we go to our like base friends, and we cry in front of them.
Yes.
And we allow ourselves to heal, and then on the internet we talk our shit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know? But there was one where I was like, this is really fucked.
What happened?
It's fucked. So going back to Kendall, the guy. Right? Who got exposed. Yeah. On the show at the very end, he tells the girl, Nicole, I love you. Right?
Okay.
She doesn't say it right away. Later on at the very ending, like when they say their like final like speeches to each other, she says, I love you. Right? The show ends. Within 24 hours, his videos get leaked. So he doesn't even really have a reality to go to, because he's going back into a world now where everybody's seeing these videos.
Oh, wait, you're not talking about the reunion right now.
No.
This happened during the show. Okay.
This happened during the show. So the reunion is like 3 weeks after, right?
Yeah.
So as these things leak, he has to publicly address it. Imagínate, like, videos showing everything of your body.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Is on the internet. And now, like, this is like the fucked part. It's like, now for the rest of your life, people can look at you naked without your consent.
Yeah.
And that's so scary, because it's like, it's one thing to like be okay with certain things, but for him, he didn't share that on the internet.
Yeah.
It got leaked by somebody.
Yeah.
Now the world gets to see it. That's a very traumatizing thing, regardless of if you're a straight man, if you're a straight woman, if you're a gay man, if you're anything under the sun, anything under the spectrum. Nobody wants that.
It's violent.
So he's dealing with that. People are kind of questioning her, like, hey, like, how are you dealing with this? I'm sure there's like some real like homophobic people that are thinking like, he must be gay.
Yeah.
He must be gay because he does that. It's like, no, like, he just probably like whatever he does, right?
Yeah.
So then she wasn't really as active on the internet. She would kind of like not post. And people were like, where is she?
Yeah.
You know, like, where's this girl?
Yeah.
He was then, after like, I think about a week, he was hanging out with like the PPG girls, you know, like they were like, you're our homie, like, we're going to protect you. And he was kind of like seemingly living his best life. And it's like, you know, after that, like, I'm not going to judge anybody.
Yeah.
Like, you just got exposed on the internet for like, for the whole world to see you.
Yeah.
Like, pobrecito.
Yeah.
So then on the reunion, they ask, or else, like, what's going on? And she's like, I'm going to let you answer that. And he's like, you know, we're like figuring stuff out, and like we're really like working through things and seeing like where we're going. And she's like, really? And he's like, I mean, yeah, like we're figuring stuff out. And she's like, he's like, you know, we've been like texting and like communicating. And she's like, really? Like, you haven't been texting me? You haven't really been communicating with me? I've been going through it.
Damn.
And she basically turns his traumatic experience about her.
What?
Because
how
he lied. So in the videos that were shared, people were able to figure out that they happened right before they started filming the show while he was in the hotel. He basically had shared these things with somebody from a dating app.
Oh.
Right, a girl from a dating app. he told her, his girlfriend, the girl he said I love you to, that was from like 2 years ago from an ex. So
wait, but how did they end up finding out that this was right before?
Because I think they found out, like they kind of picked, like were like, yo, that hotel looks familiar. Like I'm sure they found out, but they basically say it on the show. It's like Janae found out. They found out. I'm guessing they found out who the girl was or something. They just figured out that it was recent. It wasn't that long ago.
Okay.
So then I'm gonna use some blush because I love blush. So then she's like, but you lied to me. You lied to me. You lied to me. And he's like, he's freaking out because imagínate, like he's still healing from this situation,
that traumatic,
right?
Yeah.
She decides to bring it up on the show. Girl, why didn't you talk about this before?
I think that's a little.
Why are you talking about it? And you can see him panic. You can see him shake because imagínate, like he's now on this show. He's aware that there's cameras on him. There's people now sitting everywhere. She's like, the video. He's probably thinking, everybody right now is looking at me naked.
Yeah.
Everybody is looking at those videos in their head right now. Everybody has seen it. He is visibly anxious. He is shaking. This is somebody he's told he loves.
Yeah.
And she's putting that out there on TV.
Is it live?
It's not live,
Okay.
but they don't cut out a lot.
Yeah.
Like they just filmed it. So they don't have like months to be able to like edit it properly.
Yeah, for sure.
This show is like almost like listening more so to the audience than to
I was
the
going to say that. I
contestants.
feel like they want to keep it as unfiltered as possible
Yes.
because that stirs up the drama a little
It
bit
stirs
more.
up the drama because it's like, that's what y'all wanted to hear.
Yeah.
They're like, what did the audience want to hear? We're going to give you a reunion and we're going to give you exactly what y'all wanted. So she brings it up and people on the like, she's like, I just don't think that like, this is like the annoying thing. She's like, you lied to me. You lied to me. She's like, a man should never lie to a woman. That's such a definitive statement that it's flawed. What do you mean a man should never lie to a woman? There's going to be instances where a man does and can.
Yeah.
Like, I know it sounds fucked. If you're in a relationship, like, I get it. Like, don't lie about, like, certain things. Absolutely, they hurt. But I think, because we talked about this yesterday, sometimes we have certain triggers individually that bring up certain traumas that doesn't affect others the same way. Yeah. So you telling me a certain little lie, be like, hey, that really hurt my feelings. But like, hey, just don't do that. You know, like, and we can move on. For her, it was triggering. She was like, don't lie to me. Don't, like, because it was like, girl, like.
She was doing the most?
Yeah, like you were doing the most. She starts crying because everybody, like, on the show, imagínate, like, everybody's an alpha person. So, todos están hablando, todos le están diciendo, hey, like, that's not the case. Like, she's like, he doesn't care for me anymore. And the girls were like, girl, he was messaging all of us, asking, ¿qué creen que, like, le puedo decir to, like, help her heal from this situation? I know I lied, and he keeps apologizing. He keeps apologizing. But he's the one going through it.
Yeah.
What? How are you making this about you, girl? So then when people are like, no, like, it's like, yes, he like lied, but he's apologizing. And like, why can't you just understand? And she's like, okay, like, I guess my feelings don't matter. And it's like, what? You do not go to therapy.
Yeah.
You do not go to therapy because how can you not be aware of somebody else in the situation? Especially somebody that you say, I love you to.
Then that must be like fake love then, because it's like, it's not genuine.
But it was circumstantial. It was circumstantial. I think she was playing the game of the show.
True.
And she was like, oh, I have love for you. I don't think she was in love with him.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to treat somebody you love like that? And maybe she does, you know, maybe she still needs to go to therapy. She still needs to talk to a therapist and understand that, like, when you love somebody, you got to go about it differently.
You have to try to understand them as well. It's not just about
it's
you.
Not just about you.
It's about both of you guys together.
I'm like, oh my God, girl. So then people were like trying to like defend him because it's like, girl, you're not about to attack him on the show. Like, we're all a family here.
Yeah.
We're a team here. But if you're going to attack him, just so you know, you were a bombshell. You're not even one of the OG girls. So they weren't telling her that, but it was like very much like that was the energy they had. Because especially the PPG girls, they had all each other's back.
Yeah.
So people were like, nah, like, we're not really on your side with this. Like, your feelings are valid. Absolutely, girl. Like,
but you're going about it wrong.
You're going about it wrong. And also, okay, this is how I know, to me personally, if you were playing the show for the TV and you were playing the game, you fucked up. You fucked up. Because the reunion is the last time you can say things. right?
To kind of redeem yourself.
To redeem yourself.
Yeah.
And also, you see how viral this is.
Yeah.
You see how many fans there are.
Mm-hmm.
Toughen up and understand that the reunion is your final stage.
Yeah.
You know? You can either lose people or you could gain people, right? It's a show. We're putting on a show. It's a Coliseum. Like, let's take it back to Athens. Like, we're right in the middle. Like, people are either going to cheer you or they're going to boo you. Mm-hmm. What do you want? So I think personally, if Nicole was my friend and I'm Gabriel Zamora, you know, the controversial baddie that I am, I would have been like, regardless if you like him or not, if you want to break up with him, that is perfectly fine. Do not do it before the reunion. At the reunion, what you're going to do is you're going to go there and you're going to stand up for your man. You're going to stand beside him. You're going to hold his hand and you're going to be like, you know what, guys? We are working through this. We're dealing with our own things behind the scenes. But I think it's really fucked that people can go on the internet and share very intimate videos and content without a person's consent. That's revenge porn.
Yeah.
That is revenge porn. There's not a single person in America who would be like, yeah, share my nudes without my consent.
Yeah.
I want people all over the world to see me naked without my consent for the rest of my life. It's attached to his name. Yeah. And y'all want to share that on the internet? Come on, let's have some class and let's have some decorum and let's be demure.
Yeah.
You know, let's be mindful of this man's feelings. Yeah, he was on some bullshit on the show. Absolutely. I'm not saying that he's a perfect man. Nobody here is perfect.
Yeah.
But really, we're going to share that on the internet? Nah, he is a great man. And men can make mistakes, absolutely. Yeah. Him and Casa, he should have not been hyping his friends up and having them like cheat on their girls. He didn't cheat either, but he still could have been better. And he's learning. But there's no reason for us to share that on the internet. Yeah. And when we talk about mental health and like people's well-being, really, we're not going to see that can really damage somebody and really affect them. Like, there's people in the past from the show that have offed themselves because of the bullying. Yeah, we need to be more mindful of that. We need to be creating spaces within this community to allow people. If he had cheated on me and y'all want to dog him out and have conversations about him, absolutely do that. Talk about his character if that's the case, if he's doing bad things. But to share that and like, nah, that's not cool. And I'm going to stand beside him. This is my man. Okay, I told him I love him. And people would have been like, yes, queen.
But she did the opposite.
She did the opposite. And that's the thing. The moment that stops filming and y'all step off the stage, you go off to the side and you look that man in the eye and you're like, hey, I don't want to be with you. But I held you down in front of that stage. You're welcome. Take care. You could have done that.
That would have gained more respect.
You could have done that because to the public eye, you would have gained respect.
Yeah.
And you could have played the game, but you didn't. You wanted to be the victim. You wanted to break up with him and you wanted any excuse. So you shamed him and you used an excuse of him lying because it was your trigger. Clearly it was a trigger for you. Yeah. Clearly men have lied to you in the past that have really damaged you. And trust me, I'm damaged too. Yeah. Okay, I have my own like traumas and triggers, right? Absolutely. I'm not condemning that. But you need to have a better group of friends that can hold you accountable and also allow you to be vulnerable. Yeah. You know, you can't just have yes people around you, but you also have to do your own personal work and go to a therapist on your own. Your friends are not your actual therapist. Yeah. Your friends are your friends who will always have your back, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But you also have to do your due diligence and work and speaking to a professional that isn't going to be like, yes, Daisy, you're right. Yeah. Yes, Daisy, you're right. Because that's what your friend's going to do. Yeah. As your friend, I'm always going to be like, bitch, you're right. You deserve the best. You deserve the world. Fuck him. I don't care if you call him a bitch. He was probably being a bitch. Your therapist is going to be like, was that probably the right word in that situation? You know, they're not really going to just be on your side. Mm-hmm. So that's her responsibility. That's not his. Because, you know, it's like if you want to break up with him, do it after the show. Play the game. Play the game.
You can just tell that her character definitely just wasn't developed.
It wasn't there.
It wasn't there. And I feel like she really, I mean, I'm looking at it from my perspective because I didn't watch the reunion. But what it seems like to me is that she wanted to go on the reunion and really try to win the people over by playing the victim. Yeah. Playing the victim when you're in the wrong is just the worst thing you can do because clearly she was in the wrong by bringing up something very horrific that happened to him. I think that is
happened
just
to him.
Exactly, to him.
And
to try to make it about you, that's the number one thing where you fucked up. Two, trying to cry, trying to make people sympathize. I'm glad that you said that the people were like not putting up with her bullshit.
They
That's
weren't.
good.
They were allowing her to express herself But they were like,
They were not being yes people.
yes, like you're also not the person that got violated.
Yeah.
You got lied to. Yes, absolutely.
That is
behind
like,
the scenes.
That is so minuscule compared to like
Behind the
how
scenes.
bad that situation
And she's
was.
like, you haven't defended me. You haven't defended me. You've gone on podcasts and you haven't defended me. You haven't said like, yeah, I lied to Nicole. And she's like, but nobody knows he lied to you. How is it about you?
Yeah.
But he already also apologized to you. Like, can you not for a second be like, yo, this man that I love is going through it. He lied to me. Absolutely. Hey, this really hurt. And it really triggered me because I have certain traumas when it comes to men lying to me. And I don't like it. It really hurt. But let's take care of that behind the scenes. And when we go on the reunion, let's address it together as a team. Because one thing that I've learned from one of my friends and I like to implement within relationships is it's not me versus you. It's me and you versus the issue.
Yeah.
Versus the problem. It should never be me against you. You lied to me. Now it's me against you. No, it's, hey, babe, together, what happened here? Okay, so there was a lie told. Absolutely. So let's not do that because that affects me in this way. So how can we as a team get over this issue together? Because that's what a partnership is. And I've been mindful of that when I go into relationships of like, don't be combative in the sense of, nah, it's me against you. What's up? That's not a relationship I want to be in.
It's not a relationship at all. I also feel like it's lack of communication that causes so many issues in relationships.
Absolutely.
I just feel like a lot of people don't know how to communicate because they don't want to. I feel like a lot of people don't know how to communicate their feelings because they are trying to avoid rejection or they are too attached to the outcome of like, well, if I tell him how I feel, he's going to either reject me. And it has to do with people's own traumas.
Absolutely.
But that's the thing. It's just like clearly you can tell that she has not healed from a lot and she projected a lot of her feelings. I think it's super shitty that it was her that brought it up and made it about her. But
and that's also the thing. Being able to express yourself sometimes takes a certain level of experience.
yes, because it doesn't come off.
My friend John had a great quote. He said, you don't remember what it feels like to not know something the moment you learn it. So the moment you learn how to do something, you forget what it feels like to not know it. Because you're like, oh, I already know this. What do you mean you don't know 2 + 2 is 4? Like, what do you mean you only know 1 + 1 is 2? Like, come on, 2 + 2 is 4. Yeah. Like, come on. But to them, it's like, oh, I didn't know 2 + 2 was 4. Like, thank you for letting me. So sometimes we have to have a little bit of grace for people like that.
Yeah, for
when we
sure.
know it on the other side. And self-expression and you learn all that through therapy. And not everybody goes to therapy. And not everybody has a great set of friends. Yeah. So to the people out there that do, shout out to you. You're lucky. You are blessed because there's a lot of people who only have themselves and their own thoughts, their own brains. And that makes you more anxious to be able to bring up a conversation with other people. So with them, it's like, I get it. You probably don't know how to express your traumas and your like triggers. So once you do, you start to understand other people's perspectives. Yeah. It's like, oh, I know how to express my traumas now. So now when I explain it to somebody, I'm aware of their perspective as well. It's not just about me. It's about us. Yeah. So I try to give grace to people in those situations. 100%. Because it's like, oh, you're still learning, you know?
I think definitely after this, and it's probably going to really make her realize like, damn, I need to really take a step back and work on myself. Maybe this needed to happen for her to really grow as a person.
And have a moment of self-awareness.
Yeah. And how old is most of the cast? How old are they? Like our age?
I think the oldest one was like 27, 26, and the youngest one was like 22. It's early to mid 20s.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was telling Gabby this as well. I feel like I went to dinner last night with one of my friends and he was like, wow, like you've matured so much since I've met you and you have everything together and you're so put together. This? No.
Oh, I was like, I don't remember saying that.
Girl, we went to lunch. We didn't go to dinner, okay?
I was like, when did I tell you this?
You're like, you're fucking
You're lying. She's lying, you guys. I never told her this.
I went to dinner last night with one of my old friends I hadn't seen in a very long time. Okay. You have my location. I feel like you never look at my location though.
I do.
I constantly look at my friends' locations because I just like to see where my little Sims are at.
And you're also like in love with me.
I think so. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where the fuck is he?
You never leave your place though, unless it's on the weekend. So
I literally don't.
But okay, so as I was saying, I went to dinner last night with one of my friends, and he was saying like, "Wow, you're so put together." It's not, and I was like, honestly, I feel like I am put together, but I know for a fact when I'm in my 30s, I'm gonna look back and say like, "Wow, I was a mess in my 20s." Because
I love that. We should.
Yeah, it is very true, and I have to learn. I've learned to give myself a lot of grace because I'm like, I think just society and the internet has made it seem like being our age is already old, and it's like, no, we're not fucking old.
No.
And it's like, here's the thing, most of the people that call us old are people that are on TikTok, and I'm like, TikTok is ran by Gen Z. I'm sorry, but you guys
get called old?
I get called old.
That's so funny.
Isn't it crazy? I'm like, I'm 26, bitch. I'm not fucking old. Don't call me old. I'm like, your mother's old. No, I'm playing. I'm playing, but it's very true, and I just ignore it because I'm just like, whatever, you know. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure she's gonna look back at it and really take this as like a life lesson, and hopefully she's able to like grow from that. And
I think she will. I think we have to also give people the opportunity
to make mistakes,
and
grow from them,
especially women. You know, I didn't agree with her sentiment of men should never lie to women. I didn't agree with that. But as an ally to women, understanding that we live in a patriarchy and misogyny exists in abundance, I like to give women always, because women are predominantly the ones always giving the second chances to everybody and allowing grace. We have to give her grace to be able to learn from this experience. Yes, have shame with it, but sometimes shame allows us to avoid something because they're like, hey, I thought this was right, but everybody's telling me not to do this. So clearly there must be something wrong with it. And allow her to like have a little bit of space to heal and then be able to learn from it. We can't just automatically shame her and be like, no, learn it right now. Learn it right now.
But that's the thing with the internet though, is that the internet,
they want it right now.
The internet as a collective is not going to do that. They're not going to do that. It's like, and in this situation, it's not like, oh, the positivity outweighs the negativity. No, when a show has like a cult following, everybody jumps on the bandwagon.
Absolutely.
Immediately. It's like, oh, we don't like her. I don't give a fuck if she's a good person. We don't like her. And it's because the entire, you know, fan base of this show, of this influencer, of this whatever, it's a bandwagon that people jump on. I hope that, you know, she maybe takes time off the internet if she's getting a lot of backlash. Do you think she's getting backlash?
She's definitely getting backlash because this just happened last night. I'm already seeing content and everybody's dragging her. Everybody's dragging her because they're like, yo, like, how are you going to like traumatize this man?
Well, that is true. I mean, I do think it's fucked up.
Like, you traumatize this man on TV. You brought it up.
Again.
You could have like held him down, or you could have just said, we're working on it privately. We're working on it privately, and you could have broken up with him later. Yeah. It's like, why did you have to do that? And like, like I feel bad, but then
it was very distasteful.
Yes, it was it was not demure.
It was not demure.
And it was not mindful.
Gabby and I have been saying that so much. I cannot stop saying that.
I'm obsessed with it. Shout out to Jules. That is the girl popularizing it on TikTok. She's that girl. I'm obsessed with it.
I know. I am too, honestly.
Yeah, it's like a wait right now. I just saw a TikTok. She went on Jimmy Fallon. I think it was Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, with RuPaul.
Oh my God, I love
like,
that.
That's amazing. And she was able to say that like this whole like.
Did she trademark it? She should definitely.
I don't think I mean, it's such like a generic word. It's really hard.
But she could have done very demure
merch
or something.
Yeah, she could have done something with it. But she's very mindful that she herself is a trans woman and she took this word from the trans culture. And the like LGBTQ, but mostly like the doll culture within the trans community. But it's amazing because she said that with this new like life that she's having from it, she's able to proceed and like finish out her like transition and like getting the surgeries that affirm her gender identity. And I find that to be so beautiful that like
I love that for
the
her.
internet is is able to give people the opportunity to be themselves. Because I followed Jules now for like a little over a year because she's had very viral moments before this, but just like singular, like small little videos here and there. And she's so funny. And I'm never going to ever say I know the experience of a trans woman, let alone like a plus size trans woman within a country that clearly like hates fat people.
Yeah.
You know, like we live in a society that does that. Like, ouch, you hate me?
I'm like, wait, should I cross my leg or is it too much leg showing? No, it's too much.
I crossed it last time and I didn't like it. That's why I'm like open legged right now.
I was like, Gabby, why are you sitting like a man?
Because I saw the video last time and I was like,
you were like,
my leg looks weird, like crossed. But yeah, it's like her experience must be a lot more difficult and a lot more different.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I did see a tweet because you've seen what's her name, Christina Aguilera.
Oh yeah,
Skinny Queen, right?
She looks
Everybody's
so
amazing.
good.
She looks amazing, right?
Amazing.
She looks amazing. But there was a tweet that I saw that definitely like planted an idea in my head, and they said, age and attractiveness is still associated with weight.
Oh, I did see that as well.
And I was like,
I did see that.
Damn, that's so true. Because they put a photo of her like a couple years ago where she was just a little curvier. Like Christina Aguilera has never been fat. She's never been fat. She's had children to where she got a little bit heavier, and we're never going to shame a woman for providing life and shaming her weight. But you know, she was like curvier. She is Latina. Christina Aguilera is Latina, so she is going to have natural curves more. So now that she's skinny, quote unquote, people are like, oh, she looks so much more beautiful and she looks younger.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, y'all really depict like weight. Like
with
weight
beauty.
With beauty and age.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that sucks.
I never saw it until I never saw it like
tweet,
that.
And I was like,
it put into perspective. And I was like, damn, that is actually very true.
That is so true. So it's like,
that is true.
As Jules now transitions, like people are going to look at her differently now.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for that journey for her.
I'm excited for her.
Yesterday, you guys, Gabby and I went to go eat, and I do want to say
we went to Joey's. Shout out to Joey's. They gave us a free
dessert. We went to Joey's, and you know, I've never seen that side of you that I saw yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I saw a side of Gabby that was very gentle and soft and vulnerable.
Very Pisces.
Very Pisces, and I was in complete awe. And I didn't cut you off. I completely just listened. Then I feel like I cut you off when I'm on the podcast. I get excited.
I don't care.
But the entire time, I was just like, wow, I love seeing this side of you. And I'm very thankful that you felt comfortable. Again, I like to make a space for the people that I actually genuinely care about. I like to make a space that makes them feel comfortable and to be able to vent and to be vulnerable. And seeing this side of Gabby, I was like, oh my God.
I be an emotional little rat, bro.
But I feel like you come on the internet and it's like you don't. You get me? And I've never seen that side of you. I'm like, I feel like I have gotten very vulnerable on the internet and on the podcast, and like a lot of people have seen that side of me, but not really you. Yeah. So when I got to see that yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Okay. So basically what happened was...
We don't have to go too much into detail.
We're not going to go into too much detail, but there was an aspect that I do feel comfortable with sharing. Earlier I said with Nicole, her triggers were men who lied to her. That triggers her in a different capacity than somebody else. Yeah. You know, a guy could tell her the sky is purple, and she's gonna start crying because she's like, "Why are you?" Like while PTSD. Somebody else is like, "He's lying. It's, shut up, bro. Yeah. Like it's not purple." But for her, it's different. And I even recently experienced like certain triggers that I thought I had like healed and certain traumas that I thought I had healed. And I realized that like for me, like
why are you laughing?
As like, okay, because I'm like, how do I word this? Like, how do I phrase this? So I realized that I had certain traumas that I'm like, I thought I had healed them. I thought I was good on them because I do come on the internet and we have clips from Daisy Diaries where I talk my shit and I say, nah, girls, like y'all deserve this, y'all deserve that. Like stand up for yourself, like get up, right? Because I always have that energy. I always have love and respect for people. But sometimes like we have our own vulnerable moments. We sometimes are the strongest ones in our friends and our groups and in our families. But you can't be strong 100% of the time. Yeah. You can't be strong all the time. Sometimes you have moments of weakness. And I had that moment of like vulnerability. It also showed me that like I really like my man a lot. Because it really was like, it was triggering. It really was.
Yeah,
like,
you were in your feels.
I was in my feels about something that happened that somebody else could have been like, oh, okay, cool. Like, thank you for like apologizing for this. Like, let's move on. But for me, I was like, ooh, like I'm still hurt.
Really triggered something in you.
Yes, I was still hurt. And I started to hear a voice in my head that I have silenced for a very long time. But all of a sudden that bitch came back out. And it was just all back here, just like almost like an alarm. And it felt like a bomb had gone off, and all I could hear was like a ringing, and I didn't know where I was, like what's going on, nothing. And it was the like, hope for the best, but expect the worst.
Yeah.
Hope for the best, but expect the worst. I've been able to like disarm that and heal that, because it's not always the best mentality.
Yeah,
and I understood why I have that mentality. It's in no way shame to my parents. I love my parents to death. I don't want anybody else's parents. I want mine. Everything that who I am, I love, and it's because of them, right? It is my job and my responsibility as an adult now with far more resources than them to heal myself.
Yes.
Absolutely. I am not a victim, right? I can heal myself. I have the resources. And one of them was hope for the best, but expect the worst, right? And it wasn't because they like put it because they're like, yeah, let's traumatize our children. But as a first generation child to two immigrant parents who didn't have the educational resources or the financial resources to make our lives as easy as possible. They tried, absolutely. But sometimes shit happens.
Yes.
You know, and they don't have just hundreds of thousands of dollars in the savings to just be able to be like, oh, shit happens. Like, it's fine. When shit happens, like, let's say the water heater breaks and that's expensive and all that money goes there. And like, now we have to cut from other places, or hopefully we're able to pay for all the bills at the end of this month, but hope that we can, but expect that we won't, and something will get cut off. And sometimes it was just to like ease the pain.
I think that was a way of them protecting you. That way you weren't like fully caught, like blindsided or devastated.
And I was helping them. Like I've always had to be the tough guy because from like the age of 8, 9, I want to say like 9, 10 actually, I was translating my parents' like, English letters for them and helping them understand what these things were, calling customer service as a child and helping them figure out things and like standing up for them. So I've always had that mentality, right? But also like they would tell me like, oh, like, you know, we hope we can do this, but we might not be able to. So, you know, it's just like, this might happen, that might happen. And I learned from them because that's how they were. And I understood it, like when you come from such a limited past.
Yeah. So that was the blueprint that you grew up with as a child.
And I, as an adult, started to realize that's not always the best mentality.
You can change the blueprint. You don't have to live with the blueprint for the rest of your life. You can definitely change it, like you said, as an adult with resources.
Because I realized I was like, that's not the best. Like, why do you have to like be so pessimistic about it? Just hope for it.
And it triggers anxiety because you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah,
because
that causes anxiety.
If you expect the worst, you're expecting the worst.
You're going to be living in fear.
And a lot of the times it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are you like stressing yourself out and like making yourself so anxious? So in this, because I don't have, I know I talk my shit on the internet and I'm like, y'all deserve this, y'all deserve that. But I don't have a super long resume of being in a relationship. I haven't been in a relationship like some people for like years. Some people have been in relationships for years. Absolutely. I learn a lot from those people and they teach me a lot of things. But sometimes you have to be in it to fully understand it. You know, I can read all about doing a backflip. I can read it, I can study it. It's not until I actually have to do it to understand how hard it is, you know, on the body, on the mind, on the soul, everything. So as I'm in this relationship, I'm learning these things. And I was like, ooh, this one thing
it triggered
me and it hurt. And I wasn't being authentic to myself because I was like in my previous relationship, when I would bring up topics to discuss that were uncomfortable
to you,
to my partner, to me, to the whole thing, it's just topics that require seriousness. Right.
But that topic made you uncomfortable. So you wanted to bring it up.
Yes. It made me uncomfortable. It was an uncomfortable topic in a sense. Yeah. But we need to discuss it because we're in a relationship. Right. He would always say I was argumentative, that we're arguing. We're arguing. And I was like, hey, like this just hurt me. And we need to talk about it. It's like, oh my God, we always have to argue. And I'm like, what the hell? Damn. So in this relationship, I'm being mindful of those things. Yeah. And I was being like, maybe I'm being too argumentative because I really like this guy. Like I've never liked somebody like this.
So you felt like you bringing this up,
I was probably messing up the vibes. Yeah. I was like, here are my traumas and my triggers, and it's my job to fix that. It's not his job to fix that. Yeah. I need to go fix this. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, no, like it's not his job. Go figure this out. Go heal on your own, and don't bring this to his doorstep.
Yeah.
Right. So I was being like, hey, like, how's everything? Da-da-da. And he was like, okay, like
something was off.
Yeah, like he could tell something was off. And I'm like, okay, it's my job to fix it. It's my job to figure it out. And I was figuring it out, right? I was talking to the therapist, like figuring out my emotions, figuring out my needs. And I realized that like physical touch is still a top love language for me. And my 2 top love languages are physical touch and acts of service. And I realized it's because of my parents.
Yeah, the way
it's
you were
because of my
raised.
family. And I love my parents to death.
Yeah.
You know, like when I say this, like I hope they never think that like there's any shame to it. I love them with all my heart. So growing up, sometimes when they would like do things that would hurt, not like in a bad way, but just like sometimes they'd be like, oh shit, I did something that hurt my child's feelings.
Yeah.
They didn't understand how to say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing, you know? I'm never going to shame them for that. They grew up with different resources, but their love language was like a hug.
Yeah, that was like their way of comforting you. Yeah.
They would hug and be like, okay, like
you could breathe.
That's their sorry.
Yes.
That's their sorry. And like, I'm sorry, I love you. You know, it's just like, I'm sorry and I love you. And that was the hug.
Yeah.
And especially coming from my dad, who's very like, he grew up very machista, is in a very like low income area. So I can't expect him to understand how to articulate his feelings and emotions when he was never even raised to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So growing up, and I even talked to my little sister about this. She's like, yeah, dad's like that. He likes to hug to say sorry.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't understand sometimes how to explain himself. And sometimes it's too vulnerable for a man to be like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So he'll hug and like he'll provide that physical touch. And my mom is very affectionate.
Yeah.
So she was always very affectionate. And also acts of service for me are a huge love language because I didn't grow up with parents that were very wealthy.
Yeah.
And so they weren't able to just buy me a brand new BMW or buy me this, buy me that. But when they would show love, they'd be like, what can I actually do for you with my body and my time?
Yeah.
So when we would have like these Thanksgiving moments, all my family's like that. You know, like let's say we're having Thanksgiving at our house. Families are bringing different dishes.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the responsibility of this household to create all the food. The other ones are like, we can also do other things. Like, what can we might not be able to pay for a caterer, you know, but we can cook something. How can we help? Yeah. You know, it's like, or hey,
like bringing the plates, just something little, acts of
like
service.
Like a carne asada, like, you know, it's like, I might not be able to give you this huge giant birthday party, but I can have a carne asada. Like even my sister, it's funny because she was doing an internship recently. And she ended up graduating from it and she was the top salesperson, right? So proud of her, right? We were all proud of her because she's pretty much like the first one in our family just to be able to fully go to college and get her bachelor's and like not freak out. And we've been able to do that for her through our like siblings and our family. And when she got the certificate from her internship as the best one, my parents were like, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Like, what would make you happy? We're so proud of you. And she's like, I just want a carne asada. I just want a carne asada with like, and I'm so proud that like, she's even like that.
And she didn't ask for the
She
world.
didn't ask for like a laptop. She didn't do these things. She was like aware that like, and I'm emotional right now because I'm happy.
Yeah.
I cry when I'm happy.
Yeah.
You know, and it makes me very proud that like, she's like, I want a carne asada because yes, y'all are doing this for me, but y'all can also enjoy it. Yeah. And the way y'all love me, I love y'all. You're gonna make me cry. We can all eat carne asada. We can all make the tacos. We can all sing and dance and having a good time. And she's like, and we were able to invite my grandma and she was able to come over and aunts and uncles and cousins. And she made it about everybody.
And not just her.
Yeah. Yes. And like that shows acts of service. So it's like, those are my 2 love languages. Yeah. And I realize that. And I love that. I love that. I'm never going to like shame myself. I'm never going to shame my family. I love that that's my love language because like I've said in the past, I grew up in an abundance of love. Not only do I have love for myself, I have it for my family, I have it for my friends. They also have it in me. I know love. I understand love. But I don't 100% understand it in a relationship yet. Yes. So that's the only part that is scary for me. Yes. You know, I've said I love you and we've talked about this, but I wasn't in love. Yeah. I've never liked somebody like I like this guy right now. Yeah. And if it doesn't work out, it's fine. He tells me this all the time. He's like, you do caveats. You give yourself like these moments of like, well, if shit happens, like, he's like, stop doing that. And I'm like, okay, it's me doing like, I hope for the best, but expect the worst. Right. this shirt kind of smells like him. I love it.
You're like, let me just smell it real quick to just cover myself.
Man. Like, I wore when I was with him like days ago, and it still smelled like him, so I never washed it.
Period.
And I don't smell like BO, and he doesn't smell like BO, so I was like, maybe. So one thing I realized that like, as I was healing those things, those triggers and those traumas, I was like, okay, I'm a baddie. I know how to get through this. I know how to understand this. Okay, what are you feeling? I'm feeling sadness.
Yeah.
Why are you feeling sadness? Because of this. This triggered this. He wasn't the issue. He was just the first domino that caused a chain of events.
Yeah.
Right? So once I was more understanding of myself, because I never want to like just like, you know, it's like, that's not like, his responsibility. Like yeah. Like it was like, fix me. Like, I'm not going to do that to him. That's so unfair. Yeah. It's my responsibility to understand my emotions and my needs, my wants, my boundaries, my everything. Right. And then explain that to him, far less emotional. But as I was doing that, as I'm processing that, I was like, but I just like, I need a hug.
Yeah. Cause that's how you feel comfort. Yes. That's your peace.
Like I needed a hug. And I was like, I still can't have this conversation with him just yet until I go get a hug. Because I think I'm still going to be too emotional. So luckily, one of my best friends lives here in LA. This has been my best friend since 8th grade. He knows me. We know each other. That is chosen family. That is my chosen brother. Okay. I was like, I just need to hang out with you. I need to cry in front of you. And I just like need a hug. And I just need you to tell me everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because I needed it.
Yeah. You didn't have your parents here, but you need
it. Made me realize I've been really missing my parents a lot and my family. And I'm like, okay, I need to book a trip to Houston. I haven't seen them in like quite a few months. But sometimes we have to like be able to create a relationship like that with people. Even if you only have one friend, that's more than enough. But have that friend that you can be vulnerable in front of, because sometimes a wound makes you feel weak. Yeah. When you go out into the world, it's like, oh, everybody's fine. It's like, let me not show this wound and show people I'm weak. Especially me. I have that mentality. Yeah. So I wanted to be in front of somebody that I could just cry in front of and be like, look, I'm hurt. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. I got you. Heal. Yeah. Let's heal you right now. Fuck the world. I got you. Forget about the world. Like they're behind me. Yeah. I'm here. I'm going to protect you. Let's heal this wound together. Yeah. And for me, it was just being able to cry and just getting a hug and just feeling that hug and just being able to be like, and I didn't even ask him to say the words. Yeah. I was just like, can I just have a hug? And he's like, yeah. And he hugs me and he could just feel it. He's like, everything's going to be okay. And it like made me like break down even more. And like, I love to cry because I'm a Pisces, but also because it's a flow of emotion. I like to just like let it flow through me and just like come out of me and just be like, ooh, okay. That's far more healing than building it up and just exploding potentially on somebody that doesn't deserve all that. So once I was there, I was like, whoa, that was so healing.
It was like, you could breathe again.
Exhale. And when I had the conversation with my partner, it was far more balanced. Yeah. I did cry a little because I'm a crier, you know, and I was like explaining.
You were more grounded and you understood more.
I was able to explain, and I knew he was going to understand it because the entire time as I was explaining it throughout the week, he was so understanding, apologetic, being like, hey, I understand your perspective. Like he was saying the most perfect things, but in that moment, I couldn't hear it. He texted, I couldn't hear it. He told it to me on the phone. I couldn't hear it. I needed to feel it in person. Yeah. I needed to feel it in person because I was unaware that these traumas were so much more debilitating for me. Yeah. And that's fine. I had an off week. You know, bad bitches gotta cry too. Yeah. Okay? Bad bitches gotta cry too, and I needed to cry. Bad bitches have off days. Yeah. Bad bitches have weeks where they're down. That does not define us. Yeah. That just allows us to show that we are multifaceted creatures that have highs and lows. Yeah, and sometimes we're going to have lows, and that's fine because sometimes a low shows you how beautiful the highs are. Yeah. You know, it reminds you of like, ooh, when you're in that high, be more appreciative. Because remember when you were in that low and you were so sad, now you're so happy, like
yesterday,
enjoy it.
Yesterday you said you were like, just like how infatuated and how in love I was able to feel pain. And so it makes you appreciate that love more.
Yes. Like you have to have that dichotomy of enjoying both happiness and sadness. And it sounds crazy because it's like, how can you enjoy something that brings you pain in the same way that you enjoy something that brings you happiness?
But it'll make you appreciate
it. It makes you appreciate it because it's like, had I not experienced probably like fuckboys in the past, maybe I wouldn't appreciated how amazing this guy is and how understanding he is in this situation. I'd have been like, okay, cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
Those stupid fuckboys in the past that like gave me these little triggers helped me realize that like you're gonna eventually find that man that doesn't do that bullshit. The man that's like, oh, system alert down, like it can shut down.
I think I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, because it's like you're gonna eventually find that. Like we think that like everybody's gonna be a fuckboy. We think that everybody's gonna hurt us, and that's not always fair. But that's unfortunately who we are sometimes, and it's fine. Like we're human beings, and we're gonna be hurt. And once you find that perfect partner, that's like, hey, you're valid.
Can I have a tissue?
Hey, you're respectful.
Bitch.
Hey, you deserve the world in
Gabby,
the way that you deserve it.
I feel like you're talking to my soul right now, bitch. Let me breathe. Hold on.
Because we're both humans and we both want
I
that.
have a meeting after this, bitch.
Well, I have makeup if you need to touch up.
I'm such a sensitive.
I know.
Yesterday when you were crying, I started crying too. If I see my friends cry, I will immediately start crying.
Because what was your moon again?
My moon's in Cancer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
You're emotional.
I'm very empathetic. I'm a really huge empath. But yeah, it is true. We talked about it. If you would have never gone through all of that with your previous partners, it wouldn't have made you appreciate more. But I think it's beautiful that you were able to realize that, oh, my partner used to gaslight me and made me feel wrong about this, and he isn't. So this feels right. It feels right.
Because my ex from last year did that to me, gaslit me, right? Somewhat similar situation, told me, that's not happening.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. When I finally, I'm like, no, it did happen. He's like, it did happen, but I just didn't feel like talking about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, a man is willing to lie to me in front of my face.
It's
right?
just, I think it's so disappointing when they're not able to understand where you're coming from, and they kind of make it like a you problem instead of trying to understand
like, it's your trigger, it's your trauma. And you're like, fuck. And then after that ex, earlier this year, I had kind of like, was trying to see if I could rekindle something with a previous ex situation, right? And I told him that, and he's like, nah, like, fuck that guy. Like, you deserve to be treated the way you deserve to be treated. And da-da-da. Like, I was like, wow, okay, like a man that understands.
Yeah.
To then for him later to do something so fucking similar. And I was like, fuck. Not only can a man lie in front of your face, he can also lie to you and tell you that you deserve better and fuck your ex, but he's still gonna act like your ex. And it's like, fuck. It's
just, But I think all of that prepared you for this moment.
Yes, to where I was like, wait, he understands.
Yeah.
I'm not having, this was to me the moment that I was like, oh wow, I don't have to convince you that my feelings are valid. He understood it from the beginning. He was like, your perspective is valid. Your feelings are valid. I'm sorry. Like, he understood that because he didn't do something intentionally to hurt me. He understood that it still hurt me. Yeah. He's like, I didn't do it intentionally, but I understand you. Yeah. I can see how you saw it like that. And it was so like disarming to hear somebody be so reassuring and understanding of like, no, I understand it. I fully understand it. And it probably didn't feel good when this happened and this happened. And I was like,
it was like refreshing.
Yes. I was like, wait, you care?
Yeah.
Like you actually care about me. It's not just about you. Because I have very high standards and very high wants and needs. Absolutely. I'm not oblivious to that. But the reason I have it is because I know I can give it. Yeah. So when I say I want a man that isn't a hoe on the internet, it's because I'm not a hoe on the internet. I want a man that is standing and saying, Gabriel's my man, even when I'm not there. Yeah. And when bitches are coming up to him, he's shutting it down. When he's speaking about his partner, he's speaking so highly about me, even when I'm not there. It's because I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah. So I'm going to be thoughtful. Yeah. I'm going to be that person. I'm going to be that partner. And to start to feel that, actually, I'm like,
it's scary. It's refreshing, but it's scary. And we were talking about it because when you're that deep with your feelings with somebody else, it can be scary because then you're vulnerable at that point. Vulnerability can be terrifying, but it is such a beautiful feeling when you find the right person that you can be vulnerable with, because you know that they're going to keep you safe and they're not going to hurt you. And so I think it was a very beautiful thing that you went through that. I also was telling Gabby, I was like, all this was going down for you when Mercury retrograde started.
I was so unaware.
Bitch, Mercury retrograde said, this time we're gonna victimize Gabriel. It was dragging you, not letting you up, bitch. It was
dragging me.
It was not letting you up, bitch.
And like, to me, honestly, the beauty of it is that like, it was a hard week. I'm not gonna lie. It was a hard week, but fortunately, the pain isn't going to define me, but the lessons I learned, I will probably remember for the rest of my life. And I find beauty in that because it's like, oh, wow, I learned so much about myself. And like, I, as a grown ass man, am still to this day, even as a baddie, learning about myself.
Yeah.
Growing, understanding that like, I'm not a perfect, complete person. I don't know the answers to everything. Yeah. And the things I do know the answers to, I love to share. And hopefully somebody can like gain from that answer. But I'm still learning. We're still learning. Yeah, even then, age is not a like definitive thing of wisdom. You can be 65 years old and still learning stuff. You know, like who are we to say that like 50-year-old is the end all be all?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because we as kids thought adults as ever knowing creatures. Like they know everything.
They know everything. They have a solution to everything.
And when you become an adult, you realize, like, oh shit,
I don't know anything.
Yeah. Like, fuck. I've met amazing, successful people that are still learning other things within other parts of their life. Just because you're great at something doesn't mean you're a fully developed great person in every aspect of your life. We're multifaceted, like just nuanced creatures.
And that's why it is important to show grace to everyone. But everyone's different, so I do understand that.
Yeah, it was a fun learning experience. I love learning about myself. I love being able to like honestly like learn and grow. It shows me that it's like, oh, it like humanity is a journey. Like the human experience
is a fucking journey.
Is a journey.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's scary, but I love it.
You know, yesterday as well, whenever Gabriel was telling me all these things, it reminded me of I had a summit in Houston where I had to talk on a stage and a panel, and my sister Daphne was supposed to come and like help me record and everything, and she couldn't last minute, and so I was like, crap, like I don't have anybody to come and like help me. And she was like, what about dad? And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And I wasn't really thinking about it because I was like in a rush getting ready. I asked him and he was like, yeah, he's like, I'll be there. He's like, it's an hour away. Finally, when I was done getting ready, it hit me that, oh crap, my dad, who, you know, doesn't ever come to my stuff, is going to see me talk on a panel. And that started to like work my nerves. And I was like, okay, Daisy, like you're about to, like, I was about to go on the panel. So I was like, you can't start freaking yourself out. I end up fully having a whole panic attack and I couldn't understand why. And I called Daphne. I had the option of calling Nicole or Daphne, and Daphne's a little bit more grounded. And she doesn't cry, and she's like, so I'm like, okay, she's really gonna like be like, get your shit together. Or I can call Nicole and she's gonna be like, what's wrong? Like, what happened? So I called Daphne and she's like, why are you crying? And I was like, dude, I don't know. And she like calmed me down. And so I calmed down, and I just was too triggered that I was like, I know for a fact if he does come, I'm not gonna be fully there and mentally prepared to talk on stage in front of people. So I told him not to come anymore. And it wasn't until afterwards where I had to really sit with myself and ask myself like, okay, what was it exactly that triggered you? And it was just stuff from my childhood that I was like, oh crap, I thought I healed that. Clearly I haven't. Clearly I still need to work on it. And so again, it's just such a mind fuck how easily just that one little thing triggered it. And so, yeah, I had a therapy session, and it was like, basically my thing was just like, you still haven't forgiven, you know, your dad or whatever it is for things that happen in your childhood. So it's like you need to forgive in order to close that door, move on that way next time you're not triggered by it. So I was like, okay, I still have a lot of learning to do. So I think it's fascinating.
And it's also like relationship building. I think your relationship with your dad is a little bit different than other people. Yeah. So being able to build that like trust and peace is still an ongoing situation with you.
100%. And the thing is like, again, like my thing is like, I dealt with it on my own, and I didn't tell him about it. And hopefully he doesn't watch this podcast, because I told him that I was like, oh, I actually found somebody to help me, but I went to the event by myself and nobody helped me out, just because I didn't want to disappoint him or myself. So it's like, I still need to go and talk to him about it to fully heal from that, but I don't know when I'm going to do that. But that's a thing for another time. But
and you can take your time with that.
I have no rush. Healing has no time either. But healing is very beautiful and it's very therapeutic. And I feel like if to anyone listening to this podcast, like just really take some time to kind of take a step back and ask yourself, like, what is it that makes me sad? What is it that triggers me? And just kind of forgive yourself for that. Give yourself a little bit of grace and try to communicate with maybe people or try to work on those relationships. I think that's what really helps you develop your character and grow as a person. So, yeah. This was a really nice, beautiful therapy. Oh my God, we always have therapy sessions. Well, we can just talk for hours. But Gabby, again, thank you for being on Daisy Diaries.
Thank you for having me.
We all love you. You guys know where you can find the doll.
The doll.
The doll. We will see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.